Hi friends, you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail. We're doing a book haul today for Q1. At the end of last year, I talked about how I wanted to be more deliberate about the amount of books and which books I was bringing into my house. I went through a period of time when I first started my channel where I was under the assumption that the only way that I could be successful on YouTube is if I bought up every single book that I saw other people talking about. I had this anxiety that if I wasn't caught up with everyone else, I would fall behind. I now know that's not true. This is my channel and I can do whatever the I want, which is amazing. And I've done what I said I wanted to do so far. I have been very intentional with the books I have purchased in the first 3 months of the year. So I'm going to tell you about these books, and then I'm also going to tell you the specific reason why I bought that book. Also, these books are split up into 4 distinct categories. Category 1 is books that I bought myself within the boundary of the United States, which will make more sense in a second. Category number 2 is books that other people bought for me. I barely count this. I didn't buy them for myself. They're technically added to my TBR, but it wasn't by my doing. It's not my fault. Category number 3, here's where it'll make more sense. Books that I bought on the trip I just went on to Scotland and Ireland. Books that are purchased when I'm on a trip fit into a different category in my brain. Because if I'm in Ireland and I see this cute, tiny little used bookshop nestled away into a corner of a town, like how I'm supposed to say no to that? Vacation McKenna is a much different person than At Home McKenna. I can't be held accountable for what she does. And Category 4 is an interesting one, and it is books that publishers have sent me. I got home from my trip to a lot of packages. And when I say a lot of packages, I mean a lot of packages. I don't know what happened. Up until this trip, I had never been sent anything from any publisher before. I thought that they were supposed to come to me. I didn't know I was supposed to be applying for these programs. So I applied to a handful of them before I left, and I got back and I had all that shit waiting for me, and I haven't opened those. So we're gonna find out what the f is in those boxes together. And we're going to start with the biggest pile, which is in fact books that I bought within the boundaries of the USA. Oh, also, by the way, my bangs didn't dry correctly last night, so I kind of just shoved them out of the way. So I need you to ignore everything that's happening around my face and hair area. But let's get into it. I'm also not gonna go in depth about the synopses for these books because there's kind of a lot we have to get through. But first up is, the dust jacket's missing. But this is Through Gates of Garnet and Gold by Seanan McGuire. And I bought this because it's the next installment in the Wayward Children series. I will always buy the next installment in the Wayward Children series. Every January, she releases a book in this universe where children fall through portals into their ideal world and then accidentally come back to reality and need help adjusting or trying to get back to their world. Next up, I will do this 2 at a time actually. In October of last year, I read Slewfoot, and then in December, I read Krampus, both by Brom. I'm absolutely in love with his writing, so I wanted to get more of his backlist, and so I got, what is this? Lost Gods and The Child Thief by Brom. The Child Thief is a Peter Pan retelling, I think. Yeah, Child Thief is a Peter Pan retelling by Brom, so I hope it gets really f***ed up. Lost Gods, who knows? Fresh out of jail and eager to start a new life, Chet Moran and his pregnant wife Trish leave town to begin again. But an ancient evil is looming, and what seems like a safe haven may not be all it appears. Snared and murdered by a vile arcane horror, Chet quickly learns that pain and death are not unique to the living. Now the lives and very souls of his wife and unborn child are at stake. To save them, he must journey into the bowels of purgatory in search of a sacred key promise to restore the natural order of life and death. So those are the 2 more Brom books. Honestly, I bought both of those without even looking at the synopses. I just want to consume everything that Brom has ever done. And so those 2 are up next. I also got book 2 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl universe. This is Carl's Doomsday Scenario by Matt Dinniman. I read the first one in January in a vlog that you still haven't you haven't seen it. I need you to trust me on it. It's coming soon. Did I like it? You'll see in the vlog, but I bought book 2, so maybe take a hint. The next book is one that I bought because I was taking recommendations for sci-fi and fantasy books that are set in Africa. I'm always looking for more recommendations for books set in Africa, and this is Birth of a Dynasty by Chinaza Bado. If I mispronounced that, I apologize. After witnessing the massacre of everyone he's ever known and loved, Mukuru Mukundi, the sole surviving member of the high noble house Mukundi of Madada, vows revenge. Mukuru flees to a small village where he hides under the guise of farm boy Khalil Rousey, unaware that the real Khalil's father is the bloodthirsty general of the Zenzele army, who, under the direction of one of the king's scheming sons, Prince Effiam, was responsible for the murder of Mukuru's people. Mukuru, now Khalil, must bide his time among his enemies, pretending to be everything that he hates in order to get vengeance. In another part of the country where giants roam free, young Zecora Namani, the only daughter of Lord Namani, knows nothing of political intrigue. She wants little more than to be a fierce Selinga warrior. But a well-known prophecy places too much potential power on her small shoulders, and as far as Prince Effiam and the king know, she is the only living threat to their dynasty ruling forever. However, when a messenger arrives to invite Zecora to stay at the palace, her family is not in a position to refuse. Before she is taken away, she begins the Rite of Blessing, a magical inheritance that she will need to learn to use if she's going to survive the palace. Between scheming ladies at court, backstabbing princes on the prowl, and paranoid kings, Mukuru and Zecora must do what they can, no matter how terrible, to save their people and claim vengeance for their families. But they are just two young people against an entire kingdom, and a prophecy destined to thwart their dreams. And the last thing they can do is trust anyone, ... maybe even each other. I believe this came out last year? Yeah, this came out in 2025. I had heard nothing about it until it was recommended to me, so whoever recommended it to me, thank you. Or maybe it was Goodreads, I can't remember at this point. But African fantasy. The next book I got is called Heap Earth Upon It by Chloe Michelle Howarth. This I got because it's the follow-up novel by this author, and her first novel was called Sunburn. It was one of my absolute favorite books that I read last year? 2 years ago? Whenever I read Sunburn. One of my favorite books I've ever read. Hopefully this is just as good. I can't imagine anything being as good as Sunburn. So there's a recommendation for you if you want a literary fiction that's super gay and set in Ireland and is about coming of age in the 90s, read Sunburn. And then maybe you and I can read Heap Earth Upon It together. I also picked up, oh, should I tell you what this is about? This is about 4 siblings who move to a new town in Ireland under suspicious circumstances, and one of them, a woman, falls in love with a woman in the town who's married to a man. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So also super gay. Next I got The Fisherman by John Langan. And I bought this because Kayla from Books and La La invited me to be on her live book club show, which I believe, if you're watching this on the day it was uploaded, is today. Unless it takes too long for me to edit this video. Whatever it is, Saturday, April 4th. I will be on the live show with Kayla, with Gavin from Gavin Reads It All, and with Jordaline. And so I bought this beautiful book, by the way. Look at the cover. I fucking love book covers that are works of art. And, by the way, I have already read this book. I finished it the wee hours of this morning, technically. This is an eldritch horror about 2 widowers who go fishing together in an effort to stave off their grief. And maybe there's something about the river that they're fishing in that is a little f***ed up. Maybe there's something that lives there that isn't supposed to be there. Maybe there are a lot of Moby Dick references. Maybe there's a story within a story within a story within a story. I'm not going to tell you right now whether I liked it or not. You can watch the live show or you can watch the vlog that this is going to be in next week. I also got, the book cover is also downstairs, I got The Red Winter by Cameron Sullivan. And I bought this because it's about the Beast of Gévaudan, which if you have been on this channel with me longer than like 4.5 minutes, you will know how obsessive I am about the Beast of Gévaudan, which is basically a part of the history of this town called Gévaudan in France, which was terrorized by something killing people and animals for years and years and years, and the whole town collectively decided it was a werewolf. And so The Red Winter is a fictionalized fantasy story about that story and that piece of history. I also already read this. You will be seeing the vlog that's in soon. Oh wait, same video. These will be in the same video. I guess I also won't tell you if I liked this one or not. Did I love the story about the Beast of Gévaudan that I love so much? I don't know. Who knows? I guess you'll have to wait and see. Next is a book that I bought because I saw it on the Goodreads page for Birth of a Dynasty. So African Fantasy page recommended me African general fiction. This is called Follow Me to Africa by Penny Ha, and this is a fictionalized story about Mary and George Leakey, who were a real-life couple in the 80s who worked as conservationists and researchers in Africa, helping wildlife. They were friends with Dian Fossey and Jane Goodall. And so, you know, more Africa-related fiction. And by the way, if you have more Africa-related fiction to recommend to me, please always do. I also bought The Har by David Sodergren. I bought this because my goal for Scotland and Ireland was to read one book set in Scotland while I was in Scotland and one book set in Ireland while I was in Ireland. So I bought this because the back mentions Scotland. Muriel McAuley has lived in the Scottish fishing village of Witchhaven all her life. She was born there and she intends to die there. But I failed to read into it enough because it turns out that this book is set in England. So I bought it for the video, which I usually don't do. I'm trying to read the books on my TBR. But I bought it for this video and then I found out that I couldn't use it for the video, so now I just own it. But I've heard great things about this, so I'm not mad. The rest of the synopsis says, but when an overseas property developer threatens to evict the residents from their homes and raze Witchhaven to the ground in the name of progress, all seems lost until the day a mysterious fog bank creeps inland. To some it brings redemption, to others it brings only madness and death. What macabre secrets lie within? And they're calling it romantic and deranged, which is exactly how I would like to be described. The rest of the books, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, are all non-fictions and all for very specific purposes. Well, the first one's not very specific, but I got the Anthony Bourdain Reader New Classic and Rediscovered Writing. This is a new book of Anthony Bourdain's work. I will buy anything that has Anthony Bourdain's name or face on it, and so this was an obvious buy. In January, when things came to a head with ICE agents and protesters being killed and innocent people being murdered in cold blood in broad daylight, I decided that one of the things that I could do was to educate myself on matters regarding this as a whole. And so I bought On Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century by Timothy Snyder, which is this tiny little book. And the quote on the back says, "The founding fathers tried to protect us from the threat that they knew, the tyranny that overcame ancient democracy. Today, our political order faces new threats, not unlike the totalitarianism of the 20th century. We are no wiser than the Europeans who saw democracy yield to fascism, Nazism, or communism. Our one advantage is that we might learn from their experience." So this is On Tyranny. This is about $4 from any online bookstore. This is a really easy one to start on if you want to get into current events. Current, past, probably future events. I also bought Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. And it says she gives a masterful portrait of an unseen phenomenon as she explores how America, throughout its history, has been shaped by a hidden caste system, a rigid hierarchy of human rankings. Wait, that's not enough of a synopsis. Beyond race, class, or other factors, there is a powerful caste system that influences people's lives and behavior and the nation's fate. Linking the caste systems of America, India, and Nazi Germany, Wilkerson explores 8 pillars that underlie caste systems across civilizations, including divine will, bloodlines, stigma, and more. Using riveting stories about people, including Martin Luther King Jr., baseball's Satchel Paige, a single father and his toddler son, Wilkerson herself, and many others, she shows the ways that the insidious undertow of caste is experienced every day. She documents how the Nazis studied the racial systems in America to plan their outcast of the Jews. She discusses why the cruel logic of caste requires that there be a bottom rung for those in the middle to measure themselves against. She writes about the surprising health costs of caste in depression and life expectancy, and the effects of this hierarchy on our culture and politics. Finally, she points forward to ways America can move beyond the artificial and destructive separations of human divisions toward hope in our common humanity. It has been rated very highly by a lot of people that I trust. Next, I got From a Native Daughter, Colonialism and Sovereignty in Hawaii by Haunani K. Trask. This I bought because someone close to me is Hawaiian, and when she was talking to me about her home and her family and her history, I realized that the full history of Hawaii was a big gap in my knowledge base, and that is a gap that I want to fill. This is a provocative, well-reasoned attack against the rampant abuse of Native Hawaiian rights, institutional racism and gender discrimination, and has generated heated debates in Hawaii and throughout the world. This was recommended to me directly from my friend, and so now it's a beautiful, stunning part of my life. Penultimately, I got The Mourner's Bestiary by Iron Kafal. This, right there, speaking of beautiful covers, I got this because I heard that it is a combination of an account of chronic illness and of wildlife conservation. And both of those things are very prevalent in my life. Iron Kafal is the inheritor of a family legacy of 200 years of genetic kidney disease and the mother of a child who may inherit that legacy. A literary memoir on loss, chronic illness, and generational hearing, this is also a meditation on grief grief and survival told through the stories of animals in 2 collapsing marine ecosystems, and the lives of a family facing a life-threatening illness on their shores. And finally, as for the books that I purchased myself within the boundaries of the country that I live in, I got A Death in the Rainforest: How a Language and a Way of Life Came to an End in Papua New Guinea by Don Kulik. I bought this to expand my world scope. I talk about Africa a lot, I read about Africa a lot, I know that. I realized that I was lacking in other areas of the world, one of them being Oceania, and so now I have this book about Papua New Guinea. As a young anthropologist, Don Kulik went to the tiny village of Gapun in New Guinea to document the death of the native language Tayap. Again, I'm sorry if I mispronounce anything. He arrived knowing that you can't study a language without understanding the daily lives of the people who speak it, how they talk to their children, how they argue, how they gossip, how they joke. Over the course of 30 years, he returned again and again to document Tayap before it disappeared entirely, and he found himself inexorably drawn into their world and implicated in their destiny. Kulik wanted to tell the story of Gapuners, one that went beyond the particulars and uses of their language, that took full stock of their vanishing culture. This book takes us inside the village as he came to know it, revealing what it is like to live in a difficult-to-get-to village of 200 people, carved out like a cleft in the middle of a tropical rainforest. A Death in the Rainforest is also an illuminating look at the impact of Western culture on the farthest reaches of the globe, and the story of why this anthropologist realized finally that he had to give up his study of this language and this village. This book takes readers into a world that endures in the face of massive changes, one that is on the verge of disappearing forever. And so that is all 16 books that I bought for myself at home. Next is a pretty short list, and it is books that other people have purchased for me in the last few months. And there are 5 here. First is a trio of books that my friend Sophie and I, we decided to buy books for each other. And she surprised me and got me, first up, Volatile Memory by Seth Haddon, which was one of her favorite books last year, and she says it's about lesbian space pirates. And honestly, I don't want to read the synopsis. All I want to know going into this is lesbian space pirates. She also got me Spear by Nicola Griffith, which she loved, and she said it's about medieval lesbians, which is kind of also all I need to know. She grows up in the wild wood in a cave with her mother, but visions of a faraway lake drift to her on the spring breeze, scented with promise. She's an unlikely hero who forges her own bright path. She begins a journey of magic and mystery, love, lust, and fights to death. On her adventures, she will steal the hearts of beautiful women, fight warriors and sorcerers, and make a place to call home. Yes, medieval lesbian knights? Perhaps? Whatever it is, I'm ready. Finally, she got me The Hike by Drew Magary, which I have heard is a fever dream fucked up something. Sophie says it's a trippy book and reminds her of Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, but better. And I loved Dark Matter, so that's crazy to say. Ben decided to go on a quick hike, but he didn't expect to get lost on a deep and twisting path that would lead him into a world of man-eating giants, demons, and colossal insects. And he didn't expect to find himself on a quest, aided by a profane crustacean, probably that guy, and a variety of magical objects that would test the depths of his very soul. Okay, I'm thinking portal fantasy, I'm thinking time fuckery, I'm thinking fever dream, I'm thinking this could be the perfect book for me. Thank you so much, Sophie, I love you. I hope that you are enjoying The Memory Police and When the Tides Held the Moon. Then there are 2 books that my friend Julian sent to me. Julian, if you're watching this, thank you wholeheartedly, and I'm so excited to get to these. First up is called Jungle Keeper by Paul Rosoli, or Rosalie, Paul with that last name. Jungle Keeper, What It Takes to Change the World. Julian's note says, here's looking towards a better future than the one we happen to be in today. Amen to that. Deep in the Peruvian jungle, there exists a corner of the world that remains untouched, one teeming with giant anacondas where the haunting cries of howler monkeys send brightly colored macaws shooting across the canopy. It's an ecosystem of stupendous biodiversity, uncontacted tribes, and adventures that most people don't even dare to dream of. When he first set foot in the jungle, Paul was a dyslexic kid from Brooklyn who struggled to graduate from high school but had an undeniable calling to the outdoors. He was lucky enough to meet the indigenous naturalist Juan Julio Durand, and together over 2 decades they have created Jungle Keepers, an organization that has found a way to halt deforestation and protect more than 110,000 acres, inspiring millions along the way by documenting their progress online. But this work takes grit, and years in, Paul and Durand are past their barefoot machete days, grappling with chainsaws, massive fires, illegal miners, and the worst of humanity. humanity. Here, Paul brings you up close and personal with one of the wildest places on the planet and tells the incredible story of first contact with one of the most mysterious uncontacted tribes on Earth, the Mashko Piro. This book is about the profound power of saying yes. Yes to one's calling, yes to sticking with your dream when it comes at a high cost, and yes to taking a stand to save what might otherwise be gone in a generation. It's a story of vocation, connectedness, and hope. What might be gone in a generation. That is reminding me a little bit of A Death in the Rainforest. Julian also sent me The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. I have not read a Stephen Graham Jones yet, and it seems like it's about time for me to get the on with it. This chilling historical novel is set in Montana, following a Blackfeet Indian named Good Stab as he haunts the fields of the Blackfeet Nation looking for justice. It begins when a diary written in 1912 by a Lutheran pastor is discovered within a wall in 2012. What is unveiled is a slow massacre, a nearly forgotten chain of events that goes back to 217 Blackfeet dead in the snow, told in the transcribed interviews with Good Stab, who shares the narrative of his peculiar and unnaturally long life over a series of confessional visits. This is an American Indian revenge story captured in the vivid voices of the time by one of the new masters of literary horror, Stephen Graham Jones. So, to Sophie and to Julian, I salute you. Thank you, like so much. Next up are the books that I bought for myself in Scotland and Ireland. Or not me, Vacation McKenna, Trip McKenna, out of the country McKenna. She and I are two different people. I have been home for a few days, but I have just unpacked, or I've just started to unpack. And so you're gonna be seeing these with me again for the first time since I bought them. I have not removed them from the bags that were in my suitcases. Do I remember what I bought? No. I would walk into a bookstore and I would just black out. And then I would come to back in my hotel room, rolling on the bed all over all my books. Let's start here. Okay, well that's Knock Knock Open Wide, which is the book that I brought to Ireland to read, and spoiler alert, I didn't read it. Okay, I bought 2 books at Blackwell's in Edinburgh, which is a pretty well-known chain of bookstores in Europe. First of all, I got this bookmark, little dinosaurs all over it. I got a matching one with my friend who I was there with. The 2 books that I bought at Blackwell's, the first one is Near to the Wild Heart by Clarice Lispector. Now, if you pay attention to anything I say on this channel, which you don't have to do that. You don't have to pay attention. It's fine. If you pay attention though, you will know that Clarice Lispector is the author of Agua Viva, which is a book I've been putting off for at least a year, even though it's only like 80 pages, because I know in my heart it's going to change my life. Clarice Lispector is that same author. And so I've bought a second book by her. That will probably change my life, even before I've read the first one. So now I have 2 books to put off because I'm scared. This is the story of Joanna from her wild, creative childhood as the little egg who writes poems for her father, through her marriage to the faithless Ottavio, and on to her decision to make her own way in the world. As Joanna, endlessly mutable, moves through different emotional states, different inner lives, and different truths, this impressionistic, dreamlike, and fiercely intelligent novel asks if any of us ever really know who we are. The answer is no. Spoiler alert, who are we? Who am I? I don't know. Will I ever know? Probably not. The second book that I got is The Bloody Branch by Bridget Lowe. I was stoked to see this in Blackwell's. I talked about this in one of my upcoming releases videos, and then I found out that it wasn't being sold in the US. They just weren't releasing it over here. And so I saw it in Edinburgh and I screamed. I just screamed out loud in the middle of the store. Look at that cover, by the way. That is one of my favorite covers ever. This is about 3 women, a slave queen, a reclusive sorceress, and a woman conjured from flowers who unite against the deadly force that threatens them all. There's a sadistic magician wreaking havoc across the forests, cliffs, and fields of the kingdom, and they must unleash their most uncanny powers to challenge him. In this vital and visceral novel, Lowe casts ancient light on desire, sex, and our relationship with nature to bring these Celtic heroines to explosive, sensuous, blossoming new life. Now, let's uncover whatever the is in here. Oh, a bag. It's a bag within a bag. Oh gosh, that's a lot of books. Okay, so I bought 13 books while I was away. 13 books in 2 weeks. While I'm traveling, by the way, when I'm buying books, I really try to only buy books that I wouldn't be able to buy back here. There'd be no point for me to buy a book thousands of miles away and have to lug it home if I could just buy it at the indie bookstore down the street. So most of these are like special European things. So I bought 2 books at the gift shop at Loch Ness at, oh, how do I pronounce it? Something Castle. This is the word, and it looks like Urquhart, but I know that that's not how you pronounce it. This castle, sitting right on Loch Ness. I went there, I went to the bookshop, I got 2 books. Only one of them really counts as a book. One of them is not being added to my TBR because that is called The Book of Beasties, a Scottish bestiary of old. Check that out. And this is really just like a book of beasties. Here, you get to read a little blurb about that, which is called a boobry, and that's what a boobry is. So this is not a real book, not being added to my TBR. This is just a cute little reference book to have lying around. There's King Otter. So that's the Book of Beasties. I also bought Anam Cara, Spiritual Wisdom from the Celtic World by John O'Donohue. And this is in case I want to become a Celtic witch. This is kind of just exploring nature and pagan themes and becoming a little more witchy. Then I bought 3 books from the Highland Bookshop in Fort William. Although one of them doesn't count because it's for a friend. This is not even staying in my house, this is for a friend. She doesn't watch my videos, so I can comfortably show you. Look at that. It's called The Book of the Raven, Corvids in Art and Legend. She's obsessed with crows and ravens and corvids in general. So I bought her this little book on corvids. Oh, look at that. Look at that shit. Yeah. Oh my god, she's gonna love this. I did such a good job. The 2 books I bought for myself at the Highland Bookshop. One of them is Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night by Dylan Thomas, which is a teeny tiny little book of poetry. The titular poem you might recognize from anywhere like Interstellar or any number of other pieces of media that it's now been in. This has been one of my favorite poems since I was a kid, since before the media found it and put it into all of their movies. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age may burn and rage at the closing of the day. Rage, rage against the dawning of the light. Did I do that right? Almost. I almost got it. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. So yeah, now I have this really cute edition of Dylan Thomas poems. I also got Wild Spaces by S.L. Coney, another tiny little book. I love a novella. Keep in mind, this is not a YA book. An 11-year-old boy lives an idyllic childhood exploring the remote coastal plains and wetlands of South Carolina alongside his parents and his dog Teach. But when the boy's eerie and estranged grandfather shows up one day with no warning, cracks begin to form as hidden secrets resurface that his parents refuse to explain. The longer his grandfather outstays his welcome and the greater the tension between the adults grows, the more the boy feels something within him changing, physically, into something his grandfather welcomes and his mother fears. Something abyssal, something monstrous. So this also feels like some kind of eldritch horror situation. Maybe he is the thing that lives in the river in The Fisherman. And then I found the most magical little bookstore ever called Waystone Books on the Isle of Skye. My friend and I happened to go in there like 3 weeks after the bookstore opened. We met the owner, we made friends. It was the most wonderful possible situation. And I strongly urge you, if you ever go to Scotland, or if you go to the Isle of Skye specifically, go to Waystone Books. They make an incredible chai. They have a wonderful array of books. They have the kindest people ever that run the store. Please go to Waystone Books. Anyways, I bought 4 books from there. The first is Mary Ventura and the Ninth Kingdom by Sylvia Plath, which is a short story, not a book. But it's Sylvia Plath. And this is another situation like the Clarice Lispector situation where I've been putting off the bell jar for so long because I know it's going to be so important to me and so I'm scared of it. And yet I've purchased another Sylvia Plath. The little blurb for it says, lips the color of blood, the sun an unprecedented orange, train wheels that sound like guilt and guilt and guilt. These are just some of the things Mary Ventura begins to notice on her journey to the Ninth Kingdom. But what is the Ninth Kingdom? She asks a kind-seeming lady in her carriage. It is the kingdom of the frozen will, comes the reply. There is no going back. Sylvia Plath's strange, dark tale of independence over infanticide, written not long after she herself left home, grapples with mortality and motion. Excuse me? This is 40 pages. Look, It's smaller than my hand. 40 teeny tiny little pages. I try and pick up poetry, like at least a little book of poetry from everywhere that I go if I'm traveling pretty far. And so I picked up The Air Year by Caroline Bird, which won some awards in 2020. There's not much to say about this. This is a tiny book of poetry. I also, there's a funny story connected to this one. So I got West with Giraffes by Linda Rutledge. When I was in Europe in 2023, I was over there for my birthday. I had like 2 nights in London and I went to the oldest bookstore in London, which is one of the craziest places I've ever seen. And there was a man who was probably 90 years old, who was the cashier, the checkout guy, and he urged me to read a book. He said, there is a book that I know in my heart that you will love. I don't know what he saw in me or what he looked into my soul. I don't know what was there, but he said that I would love this book. He said, there's this book and it's something about a man traveling with giraffes. It's like a dystopian kind of future and a man travels with giraffes and I can't think of the name. I just can't think of the name. And I was trying so hard to get him to remember the name. And then for years afterwards, I tried to figure out the name of this book and I couldn't. It didn't matter what code words I typed into Google, nothing came up. But every few months for the last few years, I would remember this man talking about this book and I'd get pissed off all over again that I didn't know the name of this book. And I was in Waystone Books, this brand new bookshop on the Isle of Skye, so far away from my home, so far away from the bookshop this man told me about this book in, and I see on the shelf, hi, sorry, there was a house interruption. Anyway, I'm at this tiny bookshop in the middle of nowhere and I see on the shelf staring at me, West with Giraffes, and it triggered this memory in my head of this man telling me about the giraffe book. And I was like, there's no fucking way that I have finally found this book that this man was talking to me about in the place that I'm in. And guess what? I was wrong. This is the book. This is the book that the man was talking about. Woodrow Wilson Nicol, age 105, feels his life ebbing away. But when he learns giraffes are going extinct, he finds himself recalling the unforgettable experience he cannot take to his grave. It's 1938, the Great Depression lingers. Hitler is threatening Europe and world-weary Americans long for wonder. They find it in 2 giraffes who miraculously survive a hurricane while crossing the Atlantic. What follows is a 12-day road trip in a custom truck to deliver Southern California's first giraffes to the San Diego Zoo. Behind the wheel is the young Dust Bowl Rowdy Woodrow. Inspired by true events. What? Inspired by true events, the tale weaves real-life figures with fictional ones, including the world's first female zoo director, a crusty old man with a past, a young female photographer with a secret, and assorted reprobates as spotty as the giraffes. So now that I finally have this book, after 3 years, I guess I have to read it. And finally from Waystone Books, I got what is perhaps the prettiest cover I've ever seen and also the coolest title I've ever seen. This is I Gave You Eyes and You Looked Toward Darkness by Irene Sola. Look at that! Look at that. Is that a witch going through a red forest with wolves coming out? Maybe. What are you about? I don't remember. Oh wait, yes I do. Nestled among rugged mountains in a remote part of Catalonia frequented by wolf hunters, bandits, deserters, ghosts, beasts, and demons, sits the old farmhouse called Mas Clavel. Inside, an impossibly old woman lies on her deathbed while family and caretakers drift in and out. All the women who have ever lived and died in that house are waiting for her to join them. They are preparing to throw her a party. As day turns to night, 400 years worth of memories unspool. The house reverberates with the women's tales of mysterious visions, of those born without eyelashes or tongues or with deformed hearts. But it all begins with the story of the matriarch Joanna who double crosses the devil, heedless of what the consequences might be. So I need to read that immediately, actually. I need to read that as soon as physically possible. I don't like, for myself, anyone else can do whatever they want. For myself, I don't like the look of my bookshelves with like books turned out. I like my bookshelves to look like a library, like a bookstore, just all the spines. I like it looking messy. I don't arrange anything by height order. That would tick me off. Tick me off? I've never said that before in my fucking life. That would piss me off. However, if there was a book I was going to change my mind for and have it be facing forward, it would be that. Look at that shit. Okay, there's 2 more. It was a bag within a bag within a bag. There are 2 more books, although one of them again doesn't count towards my TBR. This is Pantheon, Gods and Goddesses of the Greco-Roman World. Another little reference book. Hercules. The Deified Hero. Very cute, very small, gods and goddesses. The final book that I bought for myself on this trip is from the Carmina Gadelica bookstore in the Isle of Skye. And it is Clear by Karis Davies. And the cover of this reminds me of the cover of The Fisherman. 1843, on a small island off the north coast of Scotland, Ivar, the sole occupant, leads a life of quiet isolation until the day he finds a man unconscious on the beach below the cliffs. The newcomer is John Ferguson, an impoverished church minister sent to evict Ivar and turn the island into grazing land for sheep. Unaware of the stranger's intentions, Ivar takes him into his home, and in spite of the two men having no common language, a fragile bond forms between them. Meanwhile, on the mainland, John's wife Mary anxiously awaits news of his mission. Against the rugged backdrop of this faraway spot, Karis Davies' intimate drama unfolds with tension and tenderness. And I know that this gets gay. So this is basically two men falling in love on an island with no one else around. And that is all 13 books that I purchased while I was away on my trip. And so now finally we get to the interesting shit. So I came home not realizing what was going to happen. Like I said, I applied to these programs not really thinking that anyone would be like, yeah, let's send her books. I didn't know how any of this shit worked. And instead I came home to 8 packages. 7 like this, and then 1 box. And I have opened none of these. So you and I are doing this together. These 2 are from Grove Atlantic. Grove Atlantic first sent me The Animal Room by Lauren Acampora. What are you? This is an uncorrected proof. Oh, this is an ARC. Oh, I've never had an ARC before. The Animal Room is officially my first ARC that I've ever owned. Wait, is it? Am I lying? No, that's right. How would I have gotten an ARC? Wow, that's so exciting. Tensions simmer in small town Connecticut. A city transplant is haunted by the deer carcass hanging in her neighbor's garage. A psychiatric patient believes she's becoming a bird. A disgraced oil executive invites his granddaughter's kindergarten class to tour his home menagerie. What could go wrong? Rumors spread and fires burn in this second short story collection from award-winning author Lauren Acampora. Incisive and moving, these stories chart the interconnected lives of neighbors, relatives, coworkers, enemies, lovers, and the animals around them, turning an unflinching eye to the natural world to shed light on humanity. Sick. That sounds exactly like something I'd be interested in. I haven't read a whole lot of short story collections, and I should get better at that. So maybe this will help me get better at that. Oh my god, thank you, Grove Atlantic. Oh, no fucking way. No way. Oh my god. Okay, this is Solace House by Will McLean. This is a book I've been stoked about. This comes out at some point later this year, and I remember it's talked about in conjunction with Piranesi, which is something I'm always looking for, but I'm skeptical because nothing can touch Piranesi. But I know that this is like a fever dream situation. Let's see. Hold on. It also says somewhere between The Secret History and House of Leaves. 2 books that intimidate the shit out of me, by the way. For Alex Lane's wealthy university friends, the summer break stretches out before them full of promise and fabulous plans. But for Alex, broke as usual, going home is not an option. So when the university offers him an unusual summer job clearing out a dilapidated Victorian mansion, Solace House, he jumps at the chance. Alex joins an unlikely crew of students thrown together that summer, from stoner Clive to uptight, short-tempered Helen and the extremely peculiar Adam. Alex is particularly drawn to mercurial, red-headed Ella, and as the students begin sorting through piles of old newspaper and magazines, dusty antiques, and esoteric junk, Alex and Ella become enthralled by the elaborate and eerie journals of the house's former owner, Edwin Flane. In these diaries, Flane details his obsession with his missing mother and his belief in a mysterious realm lying parallel to ours, along with coded instructions on how it might be reached. Let's go. Time fuckery team, rise up. As the students gradually uncover the house's secrets, the rift between those who want to delve further and those who believe they've already gone too far grows ever wider. And as the reader descends into this beguiling and brilliant novel, they find that they simply can't stop turning the pages, if you say so. My god, this is thick. 500 pages. Time fuckery. Portal fantasy. Parallel realms lying next to ours. Come on, I have high hopes. I have such high hopes for this. If this winds up flopping, I'm gonna be real sad. Wow, thank you, Grove Atlantic. What's up next? This looks like a real PR. I've never gotten any kind of a PR package before. This is crazy. This is from Poisoned Pen Press. Cross My Heart, I Hope You Die by Mallory Arnold. Oh, what is this? Hi, Ego. Do you want to see the books I got? Oh, jeez. Oh, okay. I got, thank you. Stickers came with this book. That's really cute. Dear reader, there are two types of lies, the ones you tell other people and the ones you tell yourself so you can sleep at night. This book is about when the second kind stops working. Oh, that's so funny. It's an arc, so the praise, the blurbs page just says blurb. One isolated cabin, one cheating boyfriend, one plan to get even. Oh god. When Nora, Ruby, and Cham discover that they've each been dating the same man, what starts as outrage quickly spirals into a plot for revenge. Oh, okay. John Tucker Must Die. This is John Tucker Must Die. Together they hatch a plan to lure their boyfriend to a romantic getaway in a secluded cabin at the top of a snow-covered mountain. What was meant to be harmless payback soon takes a chilling turn when their not-so-adoring boyfriend is found dead in the cabin. Good riddance. Stranded and snowed in, the women begin to look at one another with increasing suspicion, and as tensions rise, hidden motives come to light. To survive, each woman must confront her own demons as they fight to uncover if one of them is the killer, or if something else lurks in the freezing wilderness waiting to pick them off one by one. Okay, John Tucker Must Die, let's go. Oh my god, all of the rest of these are from Penguin Random House. 4 of these packages and that whole box, all from Penguin. Thank you, Penguin. Hi. If you ever want to sponsor a video, let me know. Okay, this first one is looking like that. Oh my god. The Jellyfish Problem, a novel by Tessa Yang. A marine biologist makes the discovery of a lifetime when she's called to rescue the inhabitants of a small Maine island being menaced by a giant glowing jellyfish in this richly imagined, wholly original debut. Dr. Jo Ness prefers jellyfish to people. Her best friend Aldo was the exception, but he died 7 months ago. So she spends her days hidden away at an underfunded aquarium with her specimens and a draft of the jellyfish guide she and Aldo had been working on together. His voice is alive in the notes and in the margins, and it's enough. Almost. Until she receives a call from Nadia, one of the few other humans she's loved but whom she hasn't heard from in years, asking for her help. Nadia tells her there's a giant jellyfish terrorizing her tiny island off the coast of Maine and sends a grainy video of a red glowing mass. Sick. Frankly, the footage looks fake, but Jo agrees to come find this supposed sea beast. She couldn't save Aldo, but perhaps she can help Nadia. When Jo arrives at Shattering Point, however, Nadia is nowhere to be found, and the islanders she meets each have something different to say about a creature they've dubbed Clementine, a jellyfish who changes all who see it. Clementine? Wait, hold on. I have a Clementine sea creature. I got this little betta fish cast in resin. I got it at this 6 store in New York years and years ago, and her name is Clementine, and she comes with me everywhere I go. So I, too, have a Clementine sea creature. Anyway, that was the jellyfish problem. That sounds sick. Ah! Ow, that's like the biggest paper cut ever. Next from Penguin is, oh no f***ing way. Daughter of Crows by Mark Lawrence. I have The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence, which I have not read yet. Oops. Oh, this is not an arc. This is not an arc. They just sent me a book. Set a thief to catch a thief. Set a monster to punish monsters. The Academy of Kindness exists to create agents of retribution, cast in the image of the Furies, known as the Kindly Ones, against whom even the gods hesitate to stand. Each year, 100 girls are sold to the Academy. 10 years later, only 3 will emerge. Oy. The Academy's halls run with blood. The few who survive its decade-long nightmare have been forged on the sands of the Wound Garden. They have learned the ancient secrets amid the necrotic fumes of the Bone Garden. They leave the Academy's gates as avatars of vengeance, bound to uphold the oldest of laws. Only the most desperate would sell their child to the Academy, but Rue, she sold herself. And now a lifetime later, a long and bloody lifetime later, just as she has discovered peace, war has been brought to an old woman's doorstep. That was a mistake. I'm gonna be honest, I just blacked out. I don't remember anything I just said. None of it integrated into my memory. So this is gonna be brand new to me when I pick it up. Sick. Now I have 3 Mark Lawrence books that I have yet to read. Okay, I'm not making the same mistake. No more paper cuts for me. Actually, maybe paper cuts. Okay, you look first. What is that? What is it? What is it? Aphrodite in Pieces by Lauren J.A. Baer. That is bright. Look at those colors. 200 years before the Common Era, Aphrodite surprises an itinerant sculptor with a shocking request. Hear my story, see me for who I truly am, and carve it into stone. Never before has the goddess posed for her likeness, and as the artist works, she shares pieces of herself, her greatest triumphs and most grievous mistakes, the truth behind her tales, and the one epic romance that slips through her perfect fingers time and time again. Aphrodite in Pieces begs the eternal essential questions: what do love and beauty truly mean, and can they last? I can't believe publishers sent me books. That's nuts. I feel deep imposter syndrome. Ow. Again. Daughter of the Wind by Nora Carmody. Zara has never felt worthy of her title as first daughter. Oh my god, me. Though next in line to lead her people, she hasn't inherited what matters most, her mother's sacred earth magic. While her people are tied to the land and their soul bond horses, Zara has always felt a pull towards the wind. As war rages against the enemy empire's deadly eagle riders, her people edge closer to defeat. When a rider attacks Zara herself, she unleashes a wind magic strong enough to tear giant eagles from the sky. This power could turn the tide of the war, but at a terrible price. The slow unraveling of her psychic bond with her horse. This is for the horse girls, or people really into Avatar, and the ponytail bonding with the flying horse creatures. So when a marriage treaty is offered in exchange for peace, Zara agrees, sacrificing herself to protect her people. But the Emperor's palace is more treacherous than any battlefield. Hidden behind its gilded walls is a monstrous being long buried, and her power-hungry betrothed is determined to set it free. Sworn to protect the future Empress, Commander Talon soon realizes Zara is more than a political pawn. She's the key to stopping the Emperor's dark ambitions. As their forbidden desire grows, they must face an ancient evil stirring beneath the throne, even if it costs them everything. Horse girls rise up. Not me. I was not a horse girl. I don't dislike horses. They've just broken so many of my bones. Okay. As a kid at summer camp, I got thrown from a horse and I fractured both of my hips. And as a full grown up, I think in like 2018, I got thrown off another horse and I broke my tailbone, 3 ribs, and this part of my hand. So, you know, I'm not anti-horse. I'm just not, you know, a horse girl. Also, a horse almost bit my mother's nipple off. Egg? Get off. Yeah, meow. Okay, we have come to the final thing, which is this big ass box, which has all the stuff printed all over it. Again, from Penguin Random House. Penguin, dear God. I'm gonna cut myself. Oh my God. How do I open you? How do I do this? What are these? I don't know what any of you are. Thank you for, oh, okay, that's why I don't know. Thank you for participating in the mystery box giveaway from Ace Books. Apparently I participated in a mystery box giveaway. I have no recollection of that. There are 3 books in here, more stickers. First is Maggie and Arthur's Magic Moment. Oh no, that looks like a romance to me. A dangerous spell gone wrong forces the passionate professor of incantations to share tight quarters with her magical college's leading and most brooding alchemist. Oh no. A mystery box has given me a romance book. Oh dear God. I'm not allowed to sell this. Am I allowed to give it away? Can I give this book away? If anyone knows anything about ARCs, could you please let me know whether or not I'm allowed to give this book away if there's no money exchanged and it's just a gift? Because if it is, I will do a giveaway on this channel. I will give this book to one of you. Someone let me know so I can do a giveaway, please. Next is Dampira by Amy Penza. Corinth has spent a lifetime longing for excitement outside her sleepy human village. As a Dhampir born of a human mother and vampire father, her unique abilities make her desired by those who lurk across the Fey line, the boundary that keeps the magical realm where vampires hold dominion in perpetual twilight. Twilight mentioned. To stay safe, she's concealed her supernatural strength and taste for blood from her human neighbors, but when her yearning for excitement accidentally exposes her gifts, she is captured to sell to the highest bidder. Terrified, she expects the worst, but rescue comes in the form of Vander, a handsome stranger who whisks her away from the auction stage and across the Fey line, where he reveals himself to be a vampire knight of King Rasimir's court. Notorious for his cruelty, the deranged king is determined to extend his rule to the farthest reaches, and Vander has been tasked with delivering Corinth to him. Now a pawn in the vampire vampire court, Corinth learns that Rasamir intends to marry her off to the arrogant Prince Lorcan and exploit her daywalking abilities for his own gain. But a wedding isn't the only obstacle on her path to freedom. While Vanda burns with dangerous charm, Lorcan watches her with hungry eyes, and both men claim they can help her if she can trust them. Okay, so kind of a vampire love triangle? Oh, is this smut? Oh my god. Hey, I think I was sent vampire smut. Let's look this up, shall we? Oh, yeah. This is a reverse harem vampire three-way book. Okay, that's brand new territory for me. That's great, wonderful. All right, last book of the video. Final one. The Reimagining of Thornwood House by Jaleh Johnson. This looks cozy to me, and I am not a cozy reader. So maybe there will be 2 books for a giveaway on here. If I'm allowed to do that, someone please tell me. A witch and her young ward discover a magical walking house and learn the true meaning of home in this cozy, enchanting novel. Yeah, cozy. Evelyn Sharp is accustomed to dealing with natural disasters as a land witch, but she longs for a life with a little less danger for her and her adopted daughter Ruby. So when the opportunity to take over as caretaker of Thornwood House, a sentient home that acts as a magical heart of the village of Iskendra, arises, it seems almost fated. When they arrive in sunny Iskendra, Evie and Ruby find the house is nothing like what they expected. First of all, it has walked away from the address. Thornwood House is also grumpy, guarded, and extremely hesitant to allow the 2 witches through its doors. Armed with gentle hearts and wild magic, Evie and Ruby begin to form tentative bonds with the house and the citizens of the small town. But there's something deeply damaged about the building seeping into the forest surrounding Iskendra, and Evie will have to use all of her power to protect the roots she has started to grow. Right, that does in fact sound too cozy for me. But with that, we're at the end of it. Good God! Okay, hi Egg. Egg is here to say goodbye to everyone. Okay, that's the end of it. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. 10 books sent from publishers. 13 I bought in Scotland and Ireland, 5 sent by other people, 16. That is 44 books, although 3 of them I believe don't count because they're either for other people or they're just like reference books. 41 books in the first 3 months. That is in fact more books than I wanted. Although some of them aren't going really onto my TBR also, because some of them are poetry books. There's the reference books. There's at least 2 of them that I know I'm not going to read because they're not up my alley in the way of, you know, romance or cozy stuff. So it's actually closer to like 30. 30 books in the first 3 months. Also more than I would have wanted. I will be buying very few books, I think, in the next quarter. So this is fine. But that's it. I need to start editing this like right now. Thank you so much for being here. If you can hear me, if you can read the subtitles, I hope you're having an amazing week. Hope you're having a good weekend. I hope you come to watch me, Kayla, Gavin, and Jordaline on the live stream Saturday, April 4th. Please, someone again, tell me if I can do a giveaway for the ARCs, if that's allowed or if it's not. That's it. We love you. Bye.